The following program is produced by the Tech Talk Radio Network.
Hey, folks, this is Sam Kinison, and you're listening to Tech Talk Radio right here. You understand that, you geek? Oh!
This is Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Broadway.
We are the show that talks about technology and...
Why are you already laughing? Why are you already laughing? Finish your bit. Let's go.
Because you know what? You and I have been friends so long. It's just always so good to see you. For those that don't know, just so they know, total transparency here. I am in Tucson, Green Valley, where the show is broadcast from, and John is in Wisconsin, which is kind of cool.
Wisconsin.
Yeah,
yeah, you betcha.
Isn't that the way you're supposed to say it? Wisconsin?
You're asking a Texas-born redneck how to say Wisconsin.
Wait, haven't you how long have you been there now?
Over 5 years.
Okay, so
it's been. I mean, we travel a lot, and we're always back and forth between Texas and here. But we've officially been sitting in this house at this new spot in Wisconsin we're going on to our second year almost.
Wow. Yeah, you sent me a picture the other day after we had finished the show, and it was a picture of your spread. Because that's what you call it. It's when you have a house like that. See, I got a house. You have a spread. Now, how did you get that picture? We have never talked about drones. Do you have a drone?
You know I want one. Why you? I gotta be quiet now. I gotta be real quiet. You're gonna get me in trouble. She's just right there in the other room, and the door's not shut all the way. Hang on.
All right. No, but seriously, that was a great picture.
Yeah, that was done by a drone.
Now, and you do want to get one, though.
Yes.
Have you been looking?
We're gonna have to do a show on it.
Have you?
Yes.
Have you been looking at a brand?
I've been looking at like the Mavic 2 Pro and some of the other stuff.
The Mavic is really good. The Unique, though, puts out a really good drone. But I mean, when that thing's in the air, you can't hide it. You should.
Hey, wait. Here's the problem. Okay, I'm still talking quiet, so I hope the levels are okay. But,
yeah.
Michelle's brother, he went full tilt into drones. And he has like 6, and he's actually racing down in Texas.
Oh, wow.
And he's already made the circuits and everything. So he got that serious in the drones. So, of course, everything that he and me have done in the past as far as toy-wise, we compete. So she, every time I bring it up, thinks I'm going to go ahead and go idiot like him. And he has like 9 of them now, 4 racing ones, 3 hobby ones, and 1 that he built himself, and she thinks I'm going to go full tilt. So I have to be very cautious the way I talk about it, because she sees my enthusiasm jump up like a kid in the candy store.
Well, I can see it right now, and you're really nervous about looking over your shoulder, because she could be standing in the doorway shaking her head no. I've seen that look before.
I just don't want you to have to cut the program right now and re-edit this, and when she comes screaming through, you're not getting a dang. You're not going to get one, I told you.
I would totally leave that in. I would leave that in the show. Okay, so and we've got some stuff to talk about, but big question though. In your research, what would be the most important thing to be a feature for that drone for you to be able? Would you race them? Would you use it for photography or just to play?
No, I want to use it for scouting and photography, and I don't know what the actual terminology is, but where you set you set the coordinates and just send it on its way to do a photo, a scenic photography or / movie thing. I have a neighbor that actually did a video that he went over the river and then back. He went 4 miles from his house. And he lives up on the bluff. So he sent it 4 miles out across into these beautiful sceneries, and then it flew back to the house. And he recorded the whole thing and posted it up on YouTube. I'll try to get you the link. But that
is what is so cool about the Mavic, is the Mavic does have that GPS feature on it, and it will only go out to a certain location as far as an area, but will come back so it doesn't die on the way back. So it actually comes back.
Correct.
So that's one of the great features if you're going to do that. We're going to have to talk about that on another episode.
See, look what happened. We took something that we weren't even thinking about talking about. You just made 10 minutes worth of it.
Well, I love them. And you know what? I have a mini drone, which is when I say mini, it's the size of my hand. And that's it. It's the tiny, and I wanted to get the bigger drone. My son bought one, and I was so excited. And we went out to the park, and the thing flew for 4 minutes. That was it. And because what you spend is what you're going to get back with that drone.
Sure.
You can go out and you can buy, there's some models out right now that are like $70. and you're going to get maybe 4 or 5 minute flying time. And I'm sorry, it's not worth it if you ask me.
Well, I mean, I've had probably 30 drones. I think that's also one of the biggest thing that gets mama mad is the fact that I've had the little, the desktop one that you have that has that little, it's all the size of a mouse.
Yeah.
Or like a little compact mouse.
So you've got one of the
sit there and
teeny
leave it on your
drones
desk.
too. Yeah.
I've had those all the way up to the big one that's the size of my chest.
Right.
And I'm a small guy, right? Yeah. The big one that she bought me. One of those cheaper ones that Fry's always has hanging out by the front. She grabbed me one of those one day because I told her I just had to have it. And we flew it straight up in the air and it caught wind and it went to four houses over, or I'm sorry, 2 streets over onto the 4th house on the road. And that didn't end well either. So,
when you go on your inaugural flight, keep it low, learn. That's the best thing. But I don't know. That's awesome. We're gonna have to talk about that stuff.
You started this segment by saying you've known me for a long time, and you actually think I don't just go full throttle with any toy I get my hands on.
Thus is why you're worried, looking over your shoulder. It's awesome. We wanted to talk about kind of an idea that it's springtime. And, we always hear about spring cleaning, where people are, suddenly getting rid of things and, they're finding ways to maybe bring some of that technology and scale that down. Obviously, we have seen over the years, and I know you probably have a drawer full of smartphones or a drawer full of even dumb phones. You have the flip phones, the whole bit, and the stuff just piles up. And it's very easy in the tech world to become a hoarder. I mean, it really is. You turn around. If you took a step into my garage, you will see racks of computers that are there that I always come up with that excuse. When I tell Gloria, I say, well, I might need it because that's got Windows 3 on it. Or that's got Linux on that.
Or that's got DOS 6.22,
right?
The last rev version, just for that last time to play Quake or Doom.
You know what? One time I told her that, and I had to do a double take when I looked at her because I used that excuse. Oh, that one's got Windows, Vista. That one's got Windows ME. And she said to me, well, why don't you just put them on one drive with a multi-boot? And I looked at her like,
right.
How'd you know that?
Right. I have that same problem because Michelle called me out on it. I have probably 8 super micro servers in my garage that I just can't seem to get rid of because of all the, the rollouts we used to do to big companies. And then when we'd put the new ones in, we'd call recyclers and the company would be like, no, why don't you just take them? And no recycler would offer any kind of money that I was like, hey, I could use this thing still.
Right.
Well, she's like, well, can't you just virtualize your existing servers or your operating systems? You did tell me about that like a week ago.
You're telling her too much.
Dang it, you're not supposed to learn technology too.
Let me ask you, how many iOmega zip drives do you have? Because I still have a ton of those.
You still brought
remember those?
I had the big gray ones, the 120 gig ones.
Yep.
I had a ton of those, and I think there's a box that has an old zip drive and some zip disk.
Well, so I always find it's good to hold on to those because, see, here's my excuse again, because somebody will one day need a data restoration and need stuff off of those. They don't have one anymore. It's kind of like the same thing people run into with VHS tapes now, or even beta. They don't have one.
I just had that conversation today. Somebody texted me and said, hey, how do I move my VHS tapes onto the DVD or something? And I, sent the Amazon link for a real quick little cable to go from the red, white, yellow.
Yeah.
I can't think tonight, to the USB. And I'm like, that's all you need.
Yeah. Well, you need the software too.
Well, yeah, it comes with it. It came with the device and all, but it's like cool. $30. And I here for a lot of the recycle houses, that's what they are nowadays. We actually have recycle centers for computers. Yeah. I mean, no different than a junkyard where you go pick apart. There are companies out there that have old technology just sitting on shelves just in case someone actually has an application that needs that device. Yeah.
And you know what I'm looking for right now?
What are you looking for?
Super 8mm film projector.
Good luck.
All right, so earlier this week, I got a chance to talk with Mitch Goldstone. Mitch is the grand poobah over at Scan My Photos. They are a tremendous company, and I urge our listeners to visit his website at scanmyphotos.com, because this is one way that people can downsize. And there was an article that ran just recently in one of the newspapers that is geared at seniors. And, our radio show is on in Green Valley. We do have a lot of senior listeners that listen to the show that maybe downsize. We all at some point may downsize. The kids have moved on, and you say, well, do we really need this, 5-bedroom house? Time to downsize. And in downsizing, sometimes that means taking your technology, your photos, and getting them into different mediums. So he's going to share with us some of the ideas on things that you can do. So I thought we'd go ahead and talk with Mitch Goldstone. And when we come back, we'll talk about some other ideas, too, when it comes to, backing up your media and really doing kind of a spring cleaning on your data.
Does Mitch know that you brought up two things that I need to counter real quick? You did mention spring is coming or is here.
Is here, yeah.
I'm sitting in a foot of snow right now that just got dumped on me. So I just want to be clear, we're on the same month, or I'm not getting programmed into this bit.
Well, you also are getting another blizzard coming your way, aren't you? Like, isn't there something
that's
coming?
It's starting to hit now, and it's going to go all the way through tomorrow. So my spring, thanks, Mitch. Help me out with that. And then the second thing I'm going to counter you on is you said Green Valley's got some senior listeners.
Yes.
We're pushing the senior boundaries here doing the talking, so don't disparage, okay? I'm just saying. Let's just keep this PC.
All right. I like it. Let's talk with Mitch Goldstone. It's Mitch from Scan My Photos. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
My pleasure, Andy. Great to be back with you.
You recently introduced something, and honestly, the driving force in this is Oprah. Tell us how this all happened.
Andy, did you ever hear of the term Oprah effect?
She talks about her books, and they sell like crazy.
Like crazy. And, you always watch it as a business owner. You always just wish. And I didn't even know I was in the magazine, Oprah magazine, initially until we started seeing the orders just fly in. And it's in the February, it was online for the top spring cleaning tips. And it was Scan My Photos for organizing all of your pictures. You can't get bigger than that with the hyperlink, everything. So it was instant and immediate. But the problem was we started to get phone calls from people asking if we could help them because they had shoeboxes of photos, 5,000, 10,000 pictures. And we just got too many phone calls, people asking for, is there a more affordable way to scan pictures? So I spent a month, all my employees nonstop for a month, beta testing, 1 cent photo scanning. It's one of those things that's just so crazy, and it works. So we just launched it on the website. It's permanent, no promo code, and it's 1 penny to scan a picture. If you have 10,000 pictures, it's $100.
That's it? Wow. Talk about decluttering. You have a process that you've been able to put together that makes this really work. Can you tell us a little bit about somebody gets you their photos? Number one, how do they do that? How do they get them to you?
Sure. Best is just go to the website. We have videos and so many news stories. We're just in the Washington Post and USA Today and all over the place. It's so easy. What we do is we digitize about 300,000 photos every day. That may sound like a lot, 600 million so far, but there are trillions of pictures. So you go online. The most recent service is photo scanning. It's right there on the homepage. For paper scan, you click on it, and you also share resolutions. We cut the rates on those as well, and services, including the other most recent service is same-day scanning. The same day we get your pictures, it's digitized and uploaded, and you see it the same day.
I know we've talked about this in the past. This can be really helpful when a retirement party comes up for somebody, or sadly somebody has passed, and you want to put together kind of a collage of photos from their time, maybe working at the company, or the time that you knew that person. This is a great way to get something done in time for a service.
It is, and you mentioned that a lot of times you have planning for anniversaries and parties, weddings, holiday events, but certainly for memorial services where there's no time. That's the last thing you want to deal with. And we deal with that all day long, where people send in photos. It's sent in overnight. It's received, digitized, and it's uploaded to them so they have them within a few hours. I mean, you just think of the changes in technology in the photo business. And I know the other week you were talking about smart fireplaces. So the innovations go all over the place.
Storing them in a photo album, well, people will think, well, I've got this nice album. I can open it, and then there's that clear, that protector that goes over the photo, and you could flip through the photo album. I found that over time, though, some of those albums can be dangerous to some of the photos, that if you ever want to take them out and move them, that can be challenging, where the color could fade or even stick to some of that vinyl that is covering those pictures.
Very, very, very much so. I'm just thinking now, a few weeks ago, I was in the Washington Post, and the article was about Marie Kondo and sparking joy and organizing and decluttering. And she came out and said something that just kind of enraged me, and that was, throw away anything that doesn't spark joy, including your photos.
Wow,
so, Eddie,
really?
You know me for so many years. Hold on, that's not the way to do it. And that's what the Washington Post article was. Before you chuck your photos, your entire life history, if it doesn't spark joy, they must be digitized, taken out of those albums, scanned, and saved. But we see a lot of people that keep those boxes, which get so much dust, mildew, heat damage, everything, in far off places, especially basements or in attics. And it's the worst place for all of those memories. Photos, it's a chemical process. So over time it does. And some of the worst culprits are slides. Interestingly, do you remember when you'd travel years ago and you'd buy pre-made slides?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
I do.
And those, because ScanMyPhotos.com also does slide film digitization, all of that. But any of those old slides that were purchased, they were shot on the cheapest, worst film. And the chemical process, everything with developing it was so poor. You'll notice if you see two slides from the same time, say 1970 together, one was yours, one was purchased. The one purchased is all red. And that's why we do extensive color restoration on the slides. But over time, if they're not kept in environmentally controlled areas, if it's too hot, all the other issues go into play. And a lot of times now we're seeing with the natural disasters, it's not just if your house survives a wildfire, if you have smoke damage or the storm surges from a hurricane, the first thing we think about is to make sure the people are safe. And then the next one are their photos, and people are trying to dry them on their yards, all of that.
Wow. And I know a lot of people have photos, though, like Polaroids. Is that something that can still be scanned?
It depends on it. I don't remember when, but Polaroid had manufactured pictures way back that were actually printed on almost cardboard. And remember the traditional from James Gardner,
yeah.
And those were all okay because they're bendable. But if they're on thick cardboard, it's just something we can't scan. And that's why at the Scan My Photos website, we have all the information, videos, how to prepare, what's good, what's not. And the best part with technology, besides live support, the old-fashioned calling and emailing, right on the website, right up at the top, it has a little Twitter icon for direct message. And we have social media people around the country. So whatever time zone, if you click it, someone should be responding right away.
Now, I know that there was an article that just came out this past week that was in Sun City Living, which is in Arizona. And it talked about really sometimes seniors that are downsizing, you don't want to give them a lot of things that are going to add to clutter if they're downsizing. And of course, being here in Green Valley, we get some of that as well. Where people have decided I'm moving from a home to maybe La Posada, where I've got a nice, comfortable apartment, but you don't want to have a lot of clutter. Something like this, and in this article touched upon, is really a great gift for those seniors that are downsizing.
It is, and that is to simplify. I think was that on the front page of the paper?
Yeah, front page, Sun City Living.
Yeah, Andy, I was in it. I was on the front page. That was us. Scan My Photos.
Yeah.
And that was, and that one was, that was important because that touched upon our simplest process, which is the prepaid box. It holds about 1,800 photos. For people that don't have the time to go through everything, you just order a prepaid box and fill it up with your pictures. We mail you the box. We pay for it to come back to us. It's digitized, and then people do add all types of extras for that, for photo enhancement, extra thumb drives, all of that. And then your images are sent back to you. That really simplifies the process because once it's digitized, and it's an important part, you open up every file, make sure it's perfect. We archive for 30 days anyway. Then it's okay to discard those old paper photos, to declutter, as long as you have everything digitized, given to friends, relatives, uploaded to Google Photos, to Carbonite, to Box, Dropbox, all of them. And do multiple. Don't just upload to Google Photos. And there's a new Western Digital product called EB, which is really good. It's kind of the Google Photos without uploading to the cloud.
I love the products they're putting out. They're making it easier, and that brings up a good point because I've talked to people in the past that have said, well, I'll scan my own photos. Well, let me tell you, if you're trying to scan 10,000 photos, you're going to be there for a while, number one. And usually most people will give up over a certain amount of time, or they'll take 4 pictures on a flatbed scanner and they'll try and scan them and then they'll never break them apart. So you don't get that real special feel if you want to share them. The other is it's going to take up a lot of space on my computer. Actually, you're finding that the process and with the cost per megabyte now of storage, especially with products from Western Digital, it's actually cost efficient because you're, again, decluttering and you're putting it somewhere you can access it easily. And again, it's right there for anytime you want to look at it.
It is, and it's so easy to. This is very interesting because we have 2 customers, professional photographers and amateur. And 86% of our customers are archiving their images for social media, just to save them, to upload them to Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all of them. And they don't need those super high resolution quality images for that. So that's why the lower one is just 150 dpi, which is still twice the capacity of using one of those smartphones, which is great. If you have a picture on a wall that's really important, it's framed behind glass, that's where the apps work great on, just to digitize that. But as you said, for 10,000 photos, 1,000 photos, we do 1,000 photos every 5 minutes. And how long would it take someone else to do that?
This is a great idea. Again, if you want to give somebody a gift by getting their photos digitized for them, and again, keeping it within the family as well. Now, one of the other questions, and I know I'm going to ask it because the last time you were on the show, we always love talking to you. We did get somebody that asked me, if they send you their photos, do you get rights to those photos? Can you share them with anybody else without their permission?
No. That's why we've been in business for 29 years. That's the paramount of everything about Scan My Photos. We own nothing. These are all yours. Privacy is so important. That's how we have customers like Katy Perry was written up in Forbes saying that one of the greatest Christmas gifts she got was all of her photos from her dad digitized at Scan My Photos. You can't beat that. But we do have a lot of celebrities, and the reason they use us is because of privacy. After the images are digitized, we do archive them just as a backup for 30 days if you have any issues with your scanned photos, but it's automatically deleted. And that's it's all yours.
I've known you for many, many years, Mitch, and I know of your reputation. And trust me, that's what I relayed to the listener that had asked me that. But I wanted to hear it from you, and I know that our listeners. Great
question.
Our listeners are going to be really happy with the service you offer. And again, whether this is being done as a gift for somebody, for maybe spring cleaning yourself, you've looked at that box for years and said, I need to do this. The other question I did get asked, and I think we've even addressed this before, is about negatives. If somebody has never printed the photos, if they lost the original photos, yet they still have the negatives, they've already been developed, they have that, that negative sheet, but then what do they do with it?
Oh, of course, yeah. They're absolutely in luck. Just go to the Scan My Photos website, It's a big part of the business, developing film negatives, 35 millimeter up to medium format film, all of that. And the quality is extraordinary. We use digital ice on it for adjusting for color intensity, and you can add photo enhancement, which clears up all the pictures. I mentioned on the slide issue with those faded ones.
Yeah.
It does it for that too, but that's really important. If you do have both in those old envelopes, photos with the negatives, just go for the photos. It is, you cannot beat a penny per picture.
And the best way to do this is to visit the website, which is scanmyphotos.com. You mentioned you've been doing this for 29 years. What would you say is the story about this that has touched you the most, that you remember this really meant something to somebody? And I know every story is going to be different, but I'm sure there's one that has stood out for you.
There are two. And it's the first one that caused me to love photography. I was 5 years old, Disneyland, with my family, and my mom took a picture of my dad and I, him hugging me at Disneyland, and he had passed away 2 years later, and it's the only picture I have. So
wow.
That's why it's so important. Everyone has that. The other one is such an emotional story. There was a woman whose mom had previously passed away from cancer years prior, and the woman was turning 40 and very sad, really missed her mom, and she grabbed this big box of photos to reminisce, and she was preparing them to send them to us. And a letter fell out, and the letter was from her mom saying, "I know one day you'll find this." And we have it on the website, on the blog, and people read it. You cannot not cry.
Wow.
That was the most powerful one.
Well, Mitch, you perform a great service. And again, the quality is phenomenal. I want our listeners to take a look at your website, scanmyphotos.com. Even if this is something that maybe you don't do right away, you're going to do it in another week, 2 weeks, a month. Definitely, this is the man to turn to. Mitch, thank you so much for coming on Tech Talk Radio, as always. And again, they can visit the website. They'll find all the step-by-steps on how to get the process done. Not that expensive. And again, at a penny per scan, this is just a great thing you're offering. How long is this limited? I mean, how are you going to do this?
It is not. It's now permanent. It's a permanent part. We were beta testing right after all of those calls from people reading in Oprah, and we weren't sure if we were going to be able to do it. And all of the logistics, we worked it out. And on Thursday, we went live with it. So no promo code is needed. 1 penny to scan a picture is a $40 minimum. It applies towards your purchase, though, and you could order all types of add-ons for that. So super, super easy, permanent, right on the homepage.
Very cool. Once again, thank you, Mitch, so much for coming on Tech Talk Radio. I know we will talk to you again, and continued success to Scan My Photos. Follow him on Twitter at Scan My Photos, and of course the website scanmyphotos.com. Mitch, you have a great day.
You're the best, my friend. Thank you.
You're listening to Tech Talk Radio. I'm Broadway.
I'm Andy Taylor. Good to have you with us.
Are you sure? You sure?
Checking my ID badge. That's what it says.
You get paid the big bucks. That pause, I was worried about. I was like, wait, did I just
we
lose
get paid?
internet?
We get paid for this? Hold on. Hold on. Pretty cool little segment, though, talking with Mitch about downsizing the photos. That deal, 10,000 photos, penny a scan. That's like, $100.
Yeah, I mean, it was a penny a piece, right?
Yeah, penny a piece comes out to, for 10,000 photos. That's a great deal. And, part of the problem is you can try and do it yourself. It's just going to take, you're going to peter out after about the 70th photo that you have to scan.
Now that I heard Mitch talk about his product offering, I might be able to get that drone.
Really?
Oh, because Mama's got all them photos of all those years for kids and sports, and there's probably 30,000 or more photos up there on a hard drive. I think it's like 4 terabytes worth. Heck, if I hook that up, get that digitized and put into a smaller package, that's a win-win.
That works out pretty good. All right, so now people, once they get their photos back, and we wanted to kind of continue the discussion for a little bit, talking about spring cleaning, the people say, well, what do I do with it? Well, one thing, and Mitch kind of stressed this a little bit, make a backup of your backup. So you make a backup of your backup. And honestly, the cost per meg now is a lot different than when you and I were doing this, 15, 20 years ago, when somebody would say, well, what kind of hard drive can I get into it? And you could say, well, you're going to push the envelope with a 200 gigabyte hard drive. It's like, wow, all that storage.
Good gosh.
And you'd be spending,
$250,
$300 for that. Now you can find that same cost per meg is way down. You can get a terabyte, 2 terabytes, 4 terabytes, and even 8 terabyte storage now. And even SSD drives, which are super fast. I don't know if you've seen, they're moving into that 1 terabyte sector for consumers, which is not that expensive, considering the speed performance you get. So the question is, all right, so I come to you, John, and I say, well, I've got all these photos, but they're taking up space on my computer, and I want to store them somewhere. I've heard about the cloud. Tell me what the cloud is all about.
The two easiest ways to think about the cloud are for the customers that already have cloud and don't even know it. One, if you have a Gmail account or a Google account at all, you have a terabyte drive sitting in the cloud for your use. For those of you that have a Hotmail or a Live or an Outlook.com email, something from Microsoft, you too have a 1 terabyte drive sitting out there. One of them's called OneDrive. The other one's called Google Drive. They are cloud services. A cloud drive is a drive that you can use just like a regular hard drive connected to your machine, but it's sitting on the internet in a virtualized environment across many, 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 many servers. So there's never a chance for failure. Your only risks are security, i.e. someone hacking, like we talked about many episodes back with the Apple cloud, their cloud version as well, which is a whole nother cloud I forgot about. Yeah. Verizon has a cloud. I mean, your cell phone provider has clouds. Your iTunes has cloud. Yep. It's a spot on the internet.
Which comes in really handy if anybody has ever had that an unfortunate moment where suddenly their drive is not working and it's failed. And if you have that stuff saved in the cloud, it's just a matter of connecting, whether you have to maybe get a new hard drive or go through a process. You still have access to that information as long as you remember the password and the login and everything else. I would recommend for anything, and I don't know how you feel about this, with anything that you're going to put on the cloud, for it to be a 2-factor connection. So meaning that you would log in and it will not let you complete that login until it sends a code to your smartphone, or it sends an email or another way to authenticate that it really is you. This way it gives you that extra layer of protection, and it's free. You're not paying for that extra layer of protection. So do you use 2-factor?
On everything. When we talked about this, I think it was last week, that is one of the safety measures, I believe, anyone that uses a password for anything. If you have a username and password online, enable 2-factor authentication.
Yeah. I use it with Twitter. I mean, and you may think, it seems like kind of a pain in the back end, but if you log on, it'll just send a little text to your phone. You pull it up, you type in that number, and you're good to go. If you're on many of the smartphones that are doing it, they'll send the code, and that code will automatically be saved for you to finish your login process. So as long as you have that phone or that device in your hand, it certainly helps. But so say somebody does this. They go ahead and they say, all right, well, I want to go ahead and set up a Google account, or I want to set up a iCloud account if they're an Apple user, or they want to set up a Live account with the OneDrive. Is this a difficult process, and are they looking at spending money right off the bat?
No. I mean, like I said, all of these are free, especially the one I can talk about the easiest is wrapped around the pictures. Let's say Mitch's company, you get their service done, and then they send you back the flash drive that has all the images.
Right.
You have a Google account. You can just as easily plug your USB device, flash drive, into your computer, and then double-click on your Google Drive that you could actually install as a software application that connects it actually puts a hard drive onto your machine that then you can just drag and drop right into the cloud.
It's as easy as that. And then if you want, you can connect with family and friends that you want to share certain files with, and you can share them with them right from there as well. So you don't have to double it up or anything like that. You say, I want to share this group, or I want to share this envelope, or maybe you create folders, trip to the Caribbean. You can share that folder with whoever has wanted to see your pictures without having to email each picture or text each picture to them. There they have access to the cloud. They can go ahead and look at those there.
Big time.
Yeah. Makes it kind of nice. And it's not that hard. But more than anything, though, come up with a really great password. And I don't know if we've talked about this before. I know Justin, who just got back, we would say he'd be here today, but he just got back from Japan and they got hit with a blizzard. So in Denver. So, I mean, it was pretty bad for them. I know that I did a report for the weather in a small town in Colorado, and they were 65-mile-an-hour winds, 6 to 10 inches of snow is what they were expecting. So he couldn't be here with us tonight, but we've talked about it. I've used LastPass, and I don't know about you, but if you use, there's LastPass, the service where it'll store your passwords, and that's great. But they also have a free password generator, which uses, the parentheses, hashtags, all of the different things that go to make that account virtually unbreakable when it comes to a password. And then, it will generate that. And then you could store that password somewhere, whether it be in a password protected Excel spreadsheet, or even, if you don't have Excel, you can do it on one of the free, Open Office. They have a spreadsheet program that you can password protect. And again, so you have one password. That password can get you into this whole area of passwords. And don't use the same password, right? You don't want to use the same password on all your services.
Oh, you don't?
No, you don't.
I gotta get to changing them. Man, what happened here?
Wait, you do that? You actually? I hope you don't. You don't.
You know I don't.
Yeah, no, you can't do that. You don't want to use the same password.
But here's what I do. I can share some password tips for people. Mm-hmm. Some of the easiest things to do are you can actually have the same password across the services. One of the ways I've seen this done is you can take your common password, mm-hmm. and for the service you're using, add the service name and or year to the end of that password. So Broadway, Google, 2019.
Right.
That can be my password. Now,
still not strong enough.
Doesn't make it strong. I'm just saying I'm giving people ideas.
Right.
Now, there's also ways that you've seen people do the uppers and lower cases. We've seen them add in exclamation points for the I's, or, use a 0 for an O, or whatever you want to combo in. But I'm just giving some generics. But my biggest and safest and easiest way to do things, Andrew,
tell me,
is Google. Once I switched over to a Google phone, and I have to give them credit here, they asked for two-factor authentication. Once I created my two-factor authentication and actually downloaded their Google Authenticator,
right,
it used my biometric that is connected to my phone.
Uh-huh.
So when I get the request, I can set a PIN or I can set the biometric to work. So every time I log into Twitter, my fingerprint goes in the back of my phone to approve. Done. Anytime I go to any website that Google saved a password for, it now goes into my authenticator vault. Boom, my finger, passwords remembered. Because my Google Chrome tab has its password manager I have tied to my Google Authenticator at all times.
Now, and the Google Authenticator, again, another free service from Google, which people can get on their smartphones. And I would recommend people try it. Now, what if they don't have the smartphone technology, though? I mean,
if they have a flip phone, what do they got?
Yeah, well, say they don't. Yeah, say they have a flip phone, or they don't even have a smartphone. They just use their computer, but they have all these pictures they've gotten back now. What do they do with them?
For people that do not have a smart technology, i.e. something that can handle a fingerprint or a thumb, would have to use a PIN. So it'd be no different than your credit card or debit card transaction at the store.
Right.
So that would be the best way that you could enable two-factor authentication, is by using a PIN.
All right. That's a good idea. All right. We're going to take a quick break. We come back. We'll have more of Tech Talk Radio. I was a little disappointed this week. I'll be honest with you. I got some news. I got happy. Then I found out it was another hoax. So you can't believe anything on the internet.
How much did you win this time?
Nothing. I see where you're going with that. Yeah.
I still have like 4,000 acres in Nigeria that they claim is mine, but
and the prince wants you to go visit, right? Yeah.
No, he just said keep sending him money, so I keep sending him money, but I haven't seen the title.
I'll give you John's email address coming up in just a bit. We'll be back with more of Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Tiller.
I'm Broadway.
Welcome back to Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Tiller.
And I'm Broadway.
As a reminder, you can find us on the World Wide Web at techtalkradio.com, our blog at blog.techtalkradio.com. And then, of course, subscribe to the show. We give you many ways to do that. You can subscribe via Stitcher, Spreaker, Breaker. We're on YouTube as well. We put our YouTube videos up there. We're going to start doing some cool things. I know John and I have been talking about some really cool ideas that will involve YouTube Live, which we've never done YouTube Live. We've done Facebook.
We need to quit being scared.
We've done Facebook Live.
Well, they'll love seeing us. Come on.
We've got faces made for radio, though.
You do. I wasn't born a radio guy like you. I don't have that sexy voice. I got the looks.
We're gonna be experimenting with that. So make sure you follow us. Tell your friends about it. And
make sure your friends all have a widescreen though.
Why is that? Because we're a couple of big tech guys.
We're big tech guys here. You know, we're not your run of the mill.
Now, if you ever have a question for the show, feel free to give us a call. You can leave a message at 777-9580, and that's the 520 area code 777. It's easy to remember. 9580, and you can leave a message with us, and we'll try and get to it during the show. All right, so I got to tell you why I was so upset this week. Now,
what happened?
I know you play video games. Justin plays video games. One of the big games that and it's hard for me to sit down and play a video game because there's so much stuff that I got to do. I mean, honestly, with maintaining the website, not just this website, but other websites as well. Sometimes, and then recording, I do a couple other shows that I produce. By the time I finally get a chance to play a game, I'm like, I can't really be doing this because if I do, it's going to be 2 hours and I'm never going to sleep. However,
so wait, are you? Is this the partner conversation where your partners, we're not pulling our share of the weight of this burden, this program, that you're not able to play games, or are you just saying these things because you really do put a lot of work in and we're lazy? Which is
no, not saying that, but trust me, you're gonna start getting some offload of this. You just walked into it.
I just said, hey, I do a lot. No, I play video games.
Yeah, like the other day, I was watching airplanes, and I suddenly wanted to load up Flight Simulator because I just love that.
Oh, goodness.
I love that. And
I love that one, too.
That's a fun one. And then the most recent one I have on my Xbox One is Red Dead Redemption 2. And I started playing it, and I couldn't understand it. I would try to be a nice cowboy, and I would get killed every time I came around the corner. Somebody was shooting me or something like that. And you're playing against a computer. And in the version I play, you're not playing in this open world where other people are there, which I know that they have introduced now. So my nephew came over and I let him play, and I was watching him play, and I saw how you play. You become a mean person, and that's how you play Red Dead Redemption 2 and get ahead. So the problem is that with the Xbox, I'm not a great gamer at that. I've been waiting for a PC version of that. So this week, there was a big announcement at the beginning of the week, and I got to tell you, I got so excited, I started passing it along, saying Red Dead Redemption 2 for PC is coming. And there was word it was going to be announced officially coming up in the next couple of weeks, and then we'll actually see it available coming up in mid-May. I was over the moon. Then the next day, I logged on and said, it was a hoax. So it's not coming. At least not right now. So it's not. So
you fell for the Russian bots?
I really did. Click here to learn more. Oh, I'm looking at a bunch of ads. Where's the story? And then
what happened? What happened?
So disappointing. So
the reason you don't play on the Xbox is because you feel like you're doing too much. Yet you still play on your PC.
No, I don't. I wish I did. I would. I probably would.
You don't make time at all to play any games.
But I probably would find time to play a PC version of it. Because when Grand Theft Auto came out, and they hadn't ported a PC version for that, and it was so popular for Xbox One. I played it on Xbox One, and once in a while. But when it came out for the PC, I went nuts, and I would sit there for like 2-3 hours playing. And, I left things behind that I was supposed to do, and I would play the game because it was just so much fun. And, I'm yet to reinstall that and start playing it again because of Steam and all that stuff. But, yeah, it was just so disappointing.
So, me, I've spent probably the past it's been over 10 years now since I've been pretty much retired.
Mm-hmm.
And I go through spells of just geeking on a certain game. Like I will go full tilt, go all the way in. I was real bad on the PC games, but they started getting too difficult for me. I mean, you got 15 buttons you got to remember. And then you got the mouse over here with a bunch of buttons they want on it. And next thing you know, I'm trying to remember which button does what. And I'm getting my butt handed to me by some 10-year-old screaming in my ear. So I said, forget that. Let's even the score here.
Right.
So I started playing kill 'em, shoot 'em ups over on the PS4. I like the Fortnites and those other kind of battle royales and things like that. And then I got turned on to these survival games.
Survival game? Like what's that?
Like No Man's Sky or The Forest or Generation Zero. Those are one of the newest ones out. You have to.
Wait, why would you play a game Forest? You're in Wisconsin. I've seen your backyard. You've got a forest right there.
Because I'm too fat and lazy to go chop a real tree down to build a house. I'd rather do it in a game. It takes me 45 minutes in the game. It'd take me 45 days in the woods, and I'd probably die.
Please don't tell me you ever played Sims. Did you ever do that?
I played Sims. I played Sim City.
Yeah.
Sim City more than Sims.
Yeah, my daughter plays Sims.
Well, Ashley played Sims too. She's a Sims addict.
Right.
So, but she gets mad now because she's married and has to be an adult and she has a job but she has we still have our Origin account, which they moved into the Origin world.
Right.
And so I catch her probably once or twice a year. You'll see her log in and it'll pop up and I'm like, oh, she's playing Sims.
That's nice. Yeah, my daughter was doing Sims 3 and her baby caught on fire in the game. And I told her, well, that's it. You're not having any kids. Forget it. You're supposed to watch the baby a little better.
When she did our whole neighborhood, I knew it was too much.
Well, she recreated the neighborhood you were living in Sims.
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I said, you have way too much time invested in this. Way too much time. Well, let me see our house. Yeah, it's my way. So gaming for me, and I encourage this for any of our elder listeners. I won't call them seniors.
There you go.
Any grandparent, anybody that's any dad or mom that wants to connect with their child, and their child is at the game playing age, I would encourage you to instead of looking at it as a negative, to embrace it, because it isn't. Yes, we want our kids outside. Yes, we want them to play sports. Yes, we want more physical activity. I'm not knocking it, and I'm not saying you don't do it. But give them that time, and you spend that time with them in the electronic world, because we have to embrace it. We can't just walk away from it.
Yeah.
It's a part of our lives. And if you want to stay relevant or try to keep relevant, you got to be able to relate with some of the things they say. You got to be where they are. You got to be where they are.
I remember when my son, who is now a computer technician as well, and you remember Ricardo. Do you remember Ricardo?
I do.
Ricardo is now, he knows that he's got the certifications, the whole bit. He works for a large company out in the Coachella Valley. But I remember he would always say, Dad, come play baseball with me. And I would say, well, I got to buy a new glove. And he goes, no, on the computer. And we had a Dreamcast, a Sega. And I remember I would go in and I'd play. And I'm pretty sure that's the one it was. And he would just whip my butt on that thing. But, it spurned his interest to learn more about technology. And then he would watch me build computers. And then I remember one day I told him, I said, here, let's build a computer. I got a motherboard, a case, and the whole bit. And he did. Well, it was really kind of cool because a couple of years ago, and he has kids of his own now, a couple of years ago, he was doing the same thing with his kids. And wow. I don't know if he knows how much that meant to me, but it was actually really kind of cool. So, yeah, embracing the technology with the kids And trying to know as much as they know is important for parents so they don't go down the wrong path when it comes through that as well.
Correct. Be a kid. Accept that you don't know.
Right?
Let them teach you something.
Exactly. Good stuff. Good tips. All right, we're going to take a quick break, come back. Website of the week. We're going to share with you really cool website you could check out. Have you got one this week?
Didn't I provide the last two? Where's yours? Why do you keep doing this to me?
We'll be back with more of Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Taylor.
And I'm Broadway. Welcome back to Tech Talk Radio. I'm Broadway.
I'm Andy Taylor. Glad to have you here. Thank you for tuning into the show. Thank you, Broadway, for being here. Next week, we'll probably have you and Justin.
You think?
We're going to figure out the logistics of it, but I think that'll be a lot of fun. So
Will Justin let me be on here?
Maybe let you be on here.
With you and him both?
He took a vacation.
He didn't take it for me. He took it for himself. I am the third of the third person that you called.
Maybe. No, you're not. Okay, I did ask Slick what he was doing.
You got to quit picking on him. That's 2 weeks in a row we picked on him.
Slick, yeah, I'm pretty sure he still listens too when he can. But, and
I got love for you.
He'll reach out. He'll reach out and he'll tell me something. Usually it's like when the website's down. Hey, website's down. Thanks for checking.
Fix it, buddy.
Actually, we've got a really great way for organizations for our website of the week. If you're working for a public service organization, we've got a lot of clubs here in Green Valley. I know that there's a lot of people that listen to this outside of the area, whether you're in Billings. I know you're listening in Billings. You're listening in Palm Springs. You're listening in Orlando. Maybe you have an organization you want to get the word out about. And you just made me aware of a great way to send posts about maybe what your organization or what you are doing.
Sure. The website is crowdfireapp.com. And the company's name is Crowdfire. Crowdfire is a social media management tool that allows an individual or an organization, basically anyone that has a Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, to name a few. If you have at least those four, you could sign up with Crowdfire and send the post through their application directly on the web or on their app that you can download. And it would automatically post that post to all of those social media sites that you're a member of.
Now, that you're a member or to your account on those sites?
So you would link your account to Crowdfire.
Got it.
To give Crowdfire the authorization to post on your behalf. But you would only have to send it. You'd only have to put in one post, and it would then go to all of those sites at the same time. You can even schedule the post to happen at a certain time. So let's say you want a post to go out at every 3 to 6 hours. Right. You could schedule it as well, and it would immediately post across all platforms.
Now, this can come in handy though for somebody who say I've got a big car show coming in, and I take a picture of a really cool car, and I want people to know about it. Normally, I would have to go to Facebook. Instagram can post to Facebook easily, but you say you had to do it individually. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. It doesn't do Snapchat. I noticed that. But you'd have to go to these separate sites and then post separately. And, it takes time. This way, you could do it all in one shot. Now, they have a free account that gives you how many posts?
10 scheduled posts per account.
And that's per day, not per month.
That's per day.
Nice. And now people can pay for a premium service, which actually adds them to link to two different. So if you have two different Instagram accounts, that's kind of cool. Or even one that's premium, 5 different or 50. So if you're really running social media as your business, and somebody asked me about this the other day. I don't know what you think about this. The web, as far as having a website, I still think it's important, but many people are just using social media to get the word out about what they're doing.
I actually think the website nowadays is no different than the Yellow Page ad back when most of us were kids. I think it just has to have your website should have the About Us section and maybe a contact link. But most of the time, the most you get out of a website is the social media links or getting linked back to the site from the social media link, because most of your posts and information comes from your social media, not from just the website.
Good points. All right. So once again, this is crowdfireapp.com. See, you delivered another great website this week.
You think?
Yeah, I like it. I do like it. And I didn't know about it, so this is something I'm going to look into. I think this would be a lot of fun.
I really get tired of teaching you how to do all these things. I mean, the pay is not really worth it right now.
We'll have to take care of that. Maybe get you a real microphone.
Hey, we can talk about that.
All right.
Because I sure do hate hurting our listeners' ears with my stuff over here.
Well, we are working on that. That's it for this week. I'm Andy Taylor.
And I'm Broadway.
Be sure to find us at techtalkradio.com. Thank you for listening. We'll be back with more next week.